the zero net carb tortillas. Gary, what's the verdict on these from your end?
First of all, they do have a couple of variations. So you do have to make sure you're buying the zero net carb, not the carb balance, because the carb balance still comes with 4 or 5 net carbs per tortilla. The zero net carbs, all in all, very good substitution.
So this one, I think the ones that I use are the ones that have like 4 or 5 grams of net carbs.
It's called carb balance.
Yeah.
Or something similar. But then there's also these that are zero net carb.
Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. Hey friend, welcome back to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your health coach and host, Jenn Trepeck, here with you every week for wellness without the weirdness. Joining me today is a new voice for you. Gary, welcome officially to Salad with a Side of Fries.
Why, thank you, Jen.
Absolutely. So friends, to fill you in, Gary and I met through networking originally. And in the interest of full disclosure, Gary is a past client. And I share this because it offers some context for today's episode. So Gary, you are a stellar explorer, and dare I say guinea pig, of all these healthier food options out there, right? So I'm not putting you on the spot, but share what you want to or are willing to share as far as your experience and in light of today's conversation.
Well, much like many people out there, I enjoy my snacks. I enjoy my treats. I enjoy my frozen treats. And unfortunately, it's not always easy to be able to eat the real thing. You want to talk full disclosure. I've been living with type 2 diabetes now for some time. I lived in denial for about 6 or 7 years before it finally caught up to me, and I ended up in the hospital with an infection in my foot. I lost my pinky toe as a result of that, and to this day, almost 13 months later, I consider that a blessing. And the reason why it's a blessing was because when I first went into the hospital, they didn't know if it was going to be 1 toe, 2 toes, my foot, or much worse. So here I am. I've adjusted my lifestyle, and I'm here to just share some of my favorite snacks and my favorite treats in my new world.
Absolutely. And in that new world, first of all, like I want to brag on you because Gary, I feel like you became your endocrinologist like prize patient, right? Like you took this on, you did the things, you shifted your choices, your habits, and exploring all of these foods is figuring out your happy medium and your forever life to be able to, you know, manage the type 2 diabetes and enjoy food and enjoy all the things.
Yes. Well, again, you know, if you're going to brag, I'll brag a little bit also. I went into the hospital April 3rd, 2023. My A1C was 11.5. My last test, I was 5.9. For those of you who don't know what that means, you listen to those Ozempic commercials and Wegovy commercials, and they get their patients down to below 7. So I'm below 6. 5.7 is normal, so almost normal.
Congratulations. I would say you are more than normal in everything else, and the A1C will catch up for sure. So anyway, we're going to dig into not just, Gary, as you said, your favorites, but we're also going to share the ones that we don't really love so much, right?
Absolutely.
You know, all honesty over here. So really quick, before we get into it, let's tell our members what they're getting this week. So members, your recipe this week is fitting for today's conversation. It's for copycat Chick-fil-A nuggets. So I'm giving you instructions for how to make them with an air fryer, but also how to make them without an air fryer. No need to go buy one just for this. I would encourage everyone to make this recipe. I think even for the adults out there, like change it up, have the nuggets. I think they're delicious and nostalgic, satisfying as a variation to, you know, the same old chicken and kind of fun, you know? Enjoy it. The copycat Chick-fil-A nuggets. And then also, because it's June, the 3rd month of the quarter, it's time for your quarterly live Q&A, which by popular demand is a one-on-one. So your email on Friday will have the details for how to schedule a time that's convenient for you. So if you want this recipe or a one-on-one with me and you, just 30 minutes, just the two of us, I can't wait to hear from you. Make sure you're a member. Go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries. This shows your support for this podcast, this community, and most importantly, supports your health. You know, at $10 a month, there are things that we spend far more than that on that do a lot less for our health. We say it all the time. It's a no-brainer way to show yourself that your health is a priority. Plus, your membership supports this podcast and this community so that we can continue to bring you new episodes every single week. So remember, you're going to go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries, or just click the link in the episode notes because that's a lot easier. Once you're there, you click the little I agree button and then support now, enter your email and payment info, click subscribe, and you're all set. You'll get this week's recipe for the copycat Chick-fil-A nuggets and your quarterly live Q&A, just you and me for 30 minutes. All right, so I kind of divided this up between meal things and then like snacky things, and then we'll get to the desserts and treats. So our first one, the Mission Tortillas, the zero net carb tortillas. Gary, what's the verdict on these from your end?
First of all, they do have a couple of variations, so you do have to make sure you're buying the zero net carb, not the carb balance, because the carb balance still comes with 4 or 5 net carbs per tortilla. The zero net carbs, all in all, very good substitution. You put enough taco stuff on it anyway, and you don't really taste the difference. They are a little tiny, in my opinion. You do kind of need maybe 3, maybe 4 to fill up your plate, or at least for me. But all in all, they're a good substitution. The plain ones, and then I've tried the sun-dried tomato one also was satisfactory.
So this one, I think the ones that I use are the ones that have like 4 or 5 grams of net carbs.
It's called Carb Balance.
Yeah.
Or something similar. But then there's also these that are zero net carb.
Yeah. So the ones that I have from this company, you have to toast them. Like if you don't toast it, the texture is just weird. So I think these sound like you were using them just straight out of the package, though.
Correct.
Okay, great. So I took a look at these. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that again, you grill up the veggies, you grill up your chicken, and you put it in there, and it gets lost. I don't know if it's the same consistency, but in my opinion, it's a good replacement.
Yeah, for sure. So, and these, because also the ones that I have, they're bigger. So they're certainly like more of a wrap than like a taco, soft taco kind of size. But so I looked up the label of the zero net carb ones that you were talking about. Serving size is 1 tortilla, 25 calories, 1.5 grams of fat, 0.5 gram of saturated fat, 7 grams of total carbs, 7 grams of dietary fiber, 2 grams of protein. So all in, not much there to speak of. But when we get to the ingredients, so it's made from wheat starch, water, vital wheat gluten isolate, vegetable shortening. Don't love that one.
But it's more than 5 ingredients down.
Right. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4? It is the 5th ingredient. Salt, calcium propionate to preserve freshness, sodium acid pyrophosphate, baking soda, distilled monoglycerides, sorbic acid for freshness, fumaric acid, cellulose gum, sunflower oil, natural flavors, and steviol glycosides. So yes, that fat I don't love, but also, as you said, right, that's the 5th ingredient. The key here is that if you have a gluten sensitivity, I would be careful with these. Like, it's all wheat and a lot of gluten in those wheat options. But then for others of us, like this might be a saving grace, The next one, Gary, we actually just talked about this because we didn't have a ton on our list for meal stuff. And you were saying that you hadn't really explored a lot of the pastas and things like that, which made me think of a pasta that I love. So I think I've talked about it before. The brand is called Explore Cuisine. It is edamame and mung bean pasta. And I will say on this one, be careful. If you eat too much, you'll know, right? The ingredients are organic edamame bean flour from green soybeans, organic mung bean flour. On the nutrition facts, so a serving size is 2 ounces. It's 180 calories, 4 grams of fat, 14 grams of fiber, 20 grams of total carbs, because there's also 3 grams of sugar, 0 added sugar, and 24 grams of protein in those, 2 ounces of the noodles. So this is a great one. Sometimes I add marinara sauce, sometimes just a little bit of olive oil and truffle salt, and it's delicious.
Well, yeah, I haven't experimented with the pastas. And for the most part, I've focused with the meals. I've really just focused on the protein and the fiber, the meat and the vegetables. I pretty much haven't had a potato in over a year, a French fry. I don't even know what that is. And I've just kind of focused. But the reason why I brought this topic to you was because I have experimented a lot with the treats and the snacks.
Yeah, so we're going to get into more of those really quick. This is making me think of, maybe you guys have seen it in the news. Nestle is coming out with a line of products. I think they're starting with pizzas, specifically for people who are taking Ozempic and similar meds. And they don't come out till October, so we can't really speak to their flavor or their actual nutrition. Maybe we're going to have to do this again once they're available. I sort of have mixed thoughts on this. Like, on the one hand, I love the idea of creating recipes of foods that are higher in nutrients compared to, the old standby. So essentially, they've been talking about like pizzas with extra protein, which, like, cool, great. Many of us have been doing that on our own anyway. The sort of apprehension I have is sort of twofold. On the one hand, it's sort of like, as we know, when they take something out, they add other things in to keep it tasting the way we want it to. So I'm sort of a little cautious to say, oh, great, these are going to be awesome choices, right? Like, we don't really know. And it's about what they do put in there versus what they take out, right? And then the other piece of it is, ultra processed foods is how we got to this point. And among other things, but it's a huge contributing factor. And so I sort of hesitate to think that the same companies that got us here are the ones who see so clearly what the solution is.
Well, from what I understand, it's not just going to be the nutrients, but it's also going to be the serving size. The size is going to be suited for people who are on the appetite suppressant drugs, the Wegovy's, the Ozempic of the world. I mean, right now you see it everywhere. Now that I've ordered from one company, I get ads in my feeds every day, and they have protein versions of everything now. And it was just a matter of time until the big players, from what I understand, other big companies are going to follow Nestle's lead on this. But like you said, it's still going to be processed. It's still going to have something in it. It's not going to be as good as a real thing. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. And I still, listen, you guys know I don't always have groceries. I'm not saying that everybody needs to make their own pizza, but I think we want to just make sure that these things that come out, even frankly, everything that we're talking about, as you were saying, Gary, it has its place in the bigger picture of things, right? Like, you're still focusing on the protein and the vegetables, and then the wrap becomes this side that helps complete the meal, like the condiment that helps fill things out. So love that. All right, let's go to breakfast things. So Gary, you sent the Legendary Protein Pastry. This is like a Pop Tart alternative.
They have a Pop Tart alternative, and they have a cinnamon bun alternative.
I'm so intrigued. So I looked at the Pop Tart, one pastry. So sorry, not two like our Pop Tarts, but one pastry is 180 calories, 8 grams of fat, 1.5 grams of saturated fat. Total carbs are 22, 9 grams of fiber, less than 1 gram of total sugar, 9 grams of erythritol, and 20 grams of protein. So this gives us a net carb of 4. You have 22 total carbs, the 9 grams of fiber, and the 9 grams of erythritol. So erythritol is a sugar alcohol. So it actually passes through our digestive system. It doesn't get absorbed, and then therefore doesn't impact our blood sugar. The ingredients, so first ingredient is a protein blend made from calcium caseinate, micellar casein, whey protein isolate, then erythritol is the second ingredient, then polydextrose, also a sweetener, oil blend contains one or more of the following: high oleic sunflower oil, palm oil, then water, collagen, glycerin, sunflower lecithin, natural flavors, and then less than 2% of dried strawberries, strawberry extract, cellulose, sea salt, baking soda, citric acid, xanthan gum, guar gum, modified cellulose, red 40, sucralose, sucralose fatty acid esters, yellow 5, blue 1, yellow 6, gum arabic, and sodium alginate. It's a mouthful.
Doesn't sound like it's worth it anymore. No, the pastries themselves are, it's nice if you just need something to grab on the go and you're tired of, the usual, like, whatever brand of protein bars you eat. It's just, it switches it up. Normally when I go to work, I pick up an omelet on my way to work. But on the weekend, if I'm sitting at home or I'm running out to do errands, I grab something and it's something I can eat quick. And it's a taste of the old life.
Exactly. It's enough, like, create the variety, give you that flavor. I would not make these a staple of my days, I don't think. Just like that whole list of ingredients feels like a lot.
Agreed.
Okay. Also on the breakfast front, bagels are a tough one.
I tried one brand. I sent you the name. It's the Great American Bread Company or something, a low carb bread company, something of that effect. We're at the first one that I would actually pass on. Be a little more diligent the day before, be a little more diligent the rest of the day, and treat yourself to a real bagel. They're smaller, like they even toasted, they just kind of went from doughy to crunchy without that, like being able to toast it the right amount. And I gave the bag away to someone else who I know who's watching their carbs. That's how much I didn't care for them.
All right. So this is a hard pass, apparently, on the flavor. But the irony of it is that the ingredients aren't so terrible. I mean, again, still a processed food. The ingredients were water, wheat protein isolate, wheat fiber, wheat gluten flour, modified wheat starch. So again, if you have a gluten thing, I would steer clear of these. Olive oil, inulin, which is fiber, salt, yeast, caraway seeds, and enzymes. 2 grams of net carbs. It was 16 total carbs, 14 grams of fiber, 14 grams of protein, 5.5 grams of fat, 120 calories. I mean, I can see why you picked them up.
I mean, look, everybody has their weaknesses, and there are probably going to be some people listening who say, oh, I got to try that. And there are some people who are going to say, this guy's crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. They are the best bagel alternative I could ever find. So it's a personal taste. For me, they just really didn't do the trick. I've reached a point now where I can have the occasional piece of bread. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. And that's just kind of where I fell on the bagel.
Yeah. I'm a rye, pumpernickel, enjoy it and onward kind of person. But actually similar to you, where like other people love it and it doesn't really do it for me, is the Catalina Crunch. Have you tried it?
I tried the cinnamon one and I tried the chocolate one. We had this conversation during one of our weekly meetings when I was a client, and it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. You know, they still have some carbs, and for me, it was too many carbs.
Yeah.
Again, that's where I might pivot to the pastry.
Right. It's interesting. We did a nutrition nugget on this, so you guys can go back and look at the Catalina Crunch nutrition nugget. I suppose it's never going to work for me like as a bowl of cereal. If you had yogurt and wanted a little something crunchy on top, maybe it would work. But also, I didn't like it, left this weird feeling in my mouth, like this weird coating. I don't know. It didn't work for me. All right, let's go to your favorite category, Gary, which is all of the snacks and things. So we have the Flock chicken chips. So these essentially are chips made out of chicken skin. On their website, they compare it to Lay's potato chips. I didn't love this one.
and it's not worth it. They have found a way to ruin fried chicken. I'm not sure how they did it, but again, I was expecting more of a potato chip substitute, and I kind of felt like back in college when I tried a pork rind for the first time and last time. So I just was not a fan of them. They left a weird texture in my mouth. And the flavoring wasn't exactly good. Hard pass.
All right. Yeah. So we don't even have to go through. And by the way, the whole thing I would actually compare to pork rinds, exactly like you said. So that brings us to, let's actually talk about some chip cracker alternatives. The Quest spicy cheddar crackers.
So if you like Cheez-Its, these are a spot-on swap for Cheez-Its. You don't like the spicy flavor, they have the regular flavor too, but they have a little bit of the proteiny aftertaste to them. But all in all, you're sitting in front of the TV, you're watching a game, you're watching your show, and you just need a little poppable finger food. I strongly recommend the Quest crackers.
All right, so that's our flavor assessment. Let's look at the nutrition. So one bag, 130 calories, 7 grams of fat, 3.5 grams of saturated fat, 10 grams of carbs, 5 grams of fiber, 1 gram of total sugars, 0 grams of sugar alcohols, 10 grams of protein. On the ingredients, polydextrose, calcium caseinate, whey protein isolate, butter, whole oat flour, vegetable oil, cheddar cheese, whey powder, water, and then less than 2% of salt, corn maltodextrin, buttermilk powder, xanthan gum, natural flavors, soy lecithin, paprika, autolyzed yeast extract, tomato powder, garlic powder, spices, non-fat milk powder, olive oil, yeast extract, sunflower oil, onion powder, sugar, with 2 asterisks that says adds a trivial amount of added sugar, but it said 0 grams of added sugar above. Citric acid, baking soda, locust bean gum, lactic acid, turmeric oleo resin, beet powder, paprika extract, rosemary oleo resin, and annatto extract. So first thing, annatto is an allergen for some people. So just that's in there. It's used for coloring. The number one ingredient, polydextrose, is a synthetic polymer, is what it's called, of glucose. So it's used in food as a soluble fiber. It's ruled, safe, right, by the FDA and in Canada. It's used a lot to increase the fiber content, replace sugar, and reduce calories and fat in a food. So it's probably used here for both the sweetener piece and the texture and the fiber. This is one where if you have too much, you will know. Again, it can potentially create some gastric upset, gas, bloating, cramping, diarrhea if you have too much. So, this is one like have one bag. I wouldn't have a ton of them.
No, I agree. Again, that's one of the also benefits of these products is that they are coming in serving size. For me, anyway, it helped with portion control. I don't buy a box of Cheez-Its anymore, and since this whole thing started, I tell people to sell their Frito-Lay stock because I haven't had a Dorito in over a year. But yes, you definitely just stick to one bag. You can't really taste the locust bean oil, I promise. So go ahead, try them. I do recommend them.
Totally. And then, by the way, the Quest Doritos, similar, but you were a no-go on these.
I was less of a fan. I might have to try them again, but I was less of a fan of these. And maybe it's just because I felt they just were shallowed in comparison to the real thing. But when I tried them and I just wasn't impressed and I got more of that proteiny taste in my mouth,
sure.
I just was not a fan.
Yeah, well, that makes sense to me because this one is 18 grams of protein, 1 gram of fiber, 4 grams of net carbs. I mean, you can see it, right? The first ingredient here is a protein blend rather than, the fiber polydextrose of the other one. So you can see it in the ingredients. Of course, this one looks a little bit better looking at the facts and the ingredients list is shorter. It does have stevia. It does have some other. So there's always a give and take, but it tracks that these have more of that proteiny aftertaste and kind of don't hit the spot. And in the interest, still always full disclosure, the first couple, when I've had the Quest Dorito, like fake Doritos, it's like first couple, not so great. But if you just keep eating them, you're sort of like, oh, this works.
Well, one time I tried to replace them when I made nachos. I made some ground turkey, seasoned meat.
Oh, I feel like they would get really soft.
It just didn't work. It wasn't the same. And, and then you made it through one bag and you still had half a plate of turkey left. And it just, that's when I switched over to the Mission tortillas.
Got it. Love it. All right. Well, we're going to get into your favorite category, which is our desserts and frozen treats. Really quick, though, let's take a break to thank our partner for this episode. Big thanks to Snap Cleaning Products for supporting Salad with a Side of Fries. Make household and industrial cleaning a Snap with their eco-friendly, economical, multi-purpose Snap products. Snap's concentrated multi-purpose formulas perform light to industrial strength jobs all in one bottle. Snap products give you the cleaning power of a variety of cleaners, saving you time, money, and valuable storage space. And Snap products were developed with the environment in mind, using plant-based ingredients that are biodegradable, phosphate-free, non-toxic, and bottled in recyclable containers. So today we're talking about healthier food swaps. Snap is your healthier cleaning product swap. Snap uses enzymes to truly clean. So the triple enzyme laundry detergent actually breaks down stains to remove them. And that one is just $13.95 for 40 ounces, can do up to 80 loads of laundry. It is truly free of chemicals and additives. It doesn't even have a scent. If you wash dishes either fully by hand or before they go in the dishwasher, the Snap dishwashing liquid is like magic. Dishes just wipe clean. It makes doing dishes so easy. For just $11.95, you get 32 ounces. And maybe you're ready to upgrade all of your household cleaning products in one fell swoop. Get the Snap Pack for just $89.95. All of these prices, by the way, are before your discount. And of course, you get free shipping. Because you're a Salad with a Side of Fries listener, text the word CLEAN, CLEAN, to 844-947-4846. You'll get 10% off and free shipping. The link and coupon code will be sent right to your phone. Again, simply text the word CLEAN, CLEAN, to 844-947-4846 to try Snap, in particular the triple enzyme laundry detergent, the Snap Pack, or even just the dishwashing liquid. Of course, at 10% off and free shipping. This is a toll-free number. Standard text and data rates may apply. Okay. Desserts. Candy. Shall we keep on the Quest train and go with the Quest peanut butter chocolate chip cookie? Gary, give us the verdict.
The verdict is it is passable. It's very good. Again, it depends on what your weakness is. If you are a cookie addict, then these serve the purpose. Obviously, you're never going to get to Nestle Toll House quality, but you are going to get a nice, satisfying snack out of them. They're a little pricey, in my opinion. I think it's like $3.50 for a cookie at the local bodega. But as far as the quality goes and the taste goes, I'm a fan.
All right. So it's funny, on their website, it says that they had a minor product update. And so they show two different labels for this that you might have. Long and the short of it, it's either 220 or 210 calories, 13 grams of fat, 4.5 or 5 grams of saturated fat, 22 grams of net carbs, either 11 or 12 grams of fiber, 1 gram of sugar with 5 grams of erythritol or 7 grams of sugar alcohols. And so also the ingredient lists are a bit different. First ingredient, so in one, the one that's 220 calories with the 5 grams of erythritol. Oh, by the way, did I say 15 grams of protein in both?
No.
Okay, so 15 grams of protein also. So the one with the erythritol, ingredients are peanuts, soluble corn fiber, then the protein blend, water, butter, natural flavors, erythritol, and then it goes through the list. The other one is peanuts, then the protein blend, then polydextrose, and then water, butter, erythritol, and all the things. So slightly different, more or less the same. And again, I mean, there's so many things in here where you're like, what are these ingredients? This is a lot to read, but it falls in the same category of like once in a while, sure, it hits the spot, you know?
Yeah. A lot of these, that even the ones that I do really like, I kind of went on a whirlwind experimentation run with all of these in the beginning. And now I'm kind of fine tuning it. I'm getting more disciplined. I'm limiting them to one a day, and I'm keeping it under control. Whereas in the beginning, I'd have, more than one a day. I'd have a cookie after lunch, and then I'd come home and have my after dinner treat. So, yes. And I see it in my waistline also, because I'm sure a lot of the way they make up for the lack of sugar is with fat and saturated fat. So it is something to be aware of. It is something to understand before you can't just look at the short version of the label and be like, oh, it doesn't have any sugar. It must be good for me. Oh, it has protein. It must be good for me. Because it's not going to work that way. And in the beginning, when we worked together, I understood that, but I also was more concerned about getting my sugar under control, that if I gained a little weight, I didn't mind. But now I'm at the point where I want to keep my sugar under control, but I also want to drop the weight that I gained back.
Yeah. I think it's a perfect point, because there is a distinction between healthier and health supporting, right? Like, I almost think a better word is like less detrimental, right? Like,
no, that's fair. And I fully understand that, when I have one of these treats, I know I should be having carrot sticks or celery sticks,
but we're human.
Exactly. You told me, my endocrinologist told me, my other doctor told me, you still have to live your life a little bit.
Exactly. And I think the other piece that you mentioned was, it can be easy to end up having more and more of these, right? Because even these sweetener alternatives can keep us craving those sweet flavors. And so there is a piece of the bigger picture, right? And looking at, why are we craving these things? What else is going on? Are these things really a tool, or are they keeping us addicted to, these sweet things? Really quick on those Quest cookies. If you have challenges with dairy, these may bother you. So know that. They use a lot of dairy, like casein specifically. So throwing that out there. Oh, these ones I know you love, the Wonder Monday cheesecakes.
Okay. So you're a Seinfeld fan. You remember the fat-free yogurt episode? That was my initial reaction to this. This was too good to be low in sugar. And, you do have to control them, but they are a nice portion. They're about 3 inches in diameter, maybe a little bit more, but they are delicious. They come in a variety pack. If you just like one flavor, you can just get the one flavor, whatever you want. But these really, I went through probably the case of 12, I probably went through in 10 days.
Okay.
That was the first time when I first started, and I'm like, oh, these have to be good. Well, these aren't as bad for me, but Juniors doesn't have anything to worry about. Juniors will be fine. But on a more regular alternative, on a more regular frequency, yes, I am a tremendous fan of these.
Yeah, so we did a nutrition nugget on these. I want to say it was in January-ish of this year. January of 2024, there's a nutrition nugget on Wonder Monday cheesecakes. Long story short, there were two kind of yellow flags for me on this. One was the fat content. It was pretty high in fat, but also it's a cheesecake, so kind of like, duh, right? And then the other one was the amount of allulose. So allulose is a newer, low glycemic, low calorie sweetener, and it's believed that you basically pee it out. And the studies that I was able to find, the highest dosage in the research was like 15 grams, and the cheesecakes have 24. So you may notice bloating, diarrhea, some discomfort from the allulose. And there's also some other research that I saw more recently where they're saying if you dose it based on per kilogram of body weight, you could potentially have more. But so just full disclosure for everybody, notice if you actually feel okay, after you have them. And by that token, maybe don't have a couple.
And also be on the lookout for their marketing, because they put a picture with whipped cream and a little caramel drizzle and a little chocolate chips and a little all this. And they're like, all this is 3 net carbs. No, it's not all that. It's just the cake is 3 net carbs. And the other stuff, no, I'm being dead serious.
No, you're right.
They commented on Facebook when it popped up. They're like, this is 3 net carbs. I'm like, don't fall for it. But yes, the cakes are delicious. I actually limit on how much I order them because I do eat them so much. I go through them fast.
All right, let's go to the candy side. So the Atkins Peanut Caramel Cluster Bar.
Rob Lowe ain't lying. And him and Wanda Sykes do their commercials. The Atkins treats are very, very, very good. This particular one, if you like peanuts, if you like payday bars, this is a fake payday bar. Not only does it have the taste and the sweetness and the saltiness and the salty-sweet combination that everyone loves, but again, we were talking about it earlier with the crackers, is that the serving size is a little bit more appropriate than a full-size payday bar. Will you ever replace a payday bar? No, but again, for the purposes of this conversation, they are in the top tier for me.
All right. I'm honestly pretty impressed with these. So it's 140 calories, 9 grams of fat, 2.5 grams of saturated fat, 13 grams of total carbs, 6 grams of fiber, 4 grams of sugar alcohols to give you 3 net carbs, 6 grams of protein. Ingredients: peanuts, maltitol, so that's your sugar alcohol, whey protein isolate, inulin, there's your fiber, polydextrose, also fiber, cream, and then less than 2% of palm kernel and palm oil, which I don't love, but there's your fats. Plus the peanuts also have fat. Salt, milk protein isolate, skim milk, soy lecithin, sucralose, which for some people is a hard no, mono and diglycerides, mixed tocopherols. This is what everybody's just got to pick their battles and, kind of decide for yourself. And I kind of similar to the Atkins caramel chocolate nut roll. So what candy bar is this one close to, Gary?
The Baby Ruth.
Okay. Same thing, 3 net carbs, more fiber, more protein, a little bit more fat, but for the most part, pretty similar to the other one.
But again, not going to replace the original anytime soon. But for the purposes of this conversation, it's sweet, it's salty, it's crunchy with the peanuts, and it's satisfying. And, for someone who likes sweets, for someone who, likes to have dinner and then likes to have a little something sweet, my grandma or my actually great Aunt Sylvia used to say, you got to cut the grease. For cutting the grease, it's perfect.
There you go. And then I feel like you went on a rabbit hole of the Atkins products, because our next one is the Atkins Root Beer Float Shake.
It's whatever the Stop and Shop has in stock that week that I'm shopping. What can I tell you? I like the carbonation. I should say I like carbonation in general, but these obviously do not have the carbonation. But again, the flavor, it's a treat, and
yeah.
Like I said, I've explored many different variations of this stuff. And for me, as far as the shakes go, I tried the chai latte, which I was not a fan of, but I realized I'm also not that big of a fan of chai lattes in real life. But I saw it was new, I tried it. I said it's the same thing with the root beer float. And again, it has the flavor and the sweetness. Maybe you're better off buying we'll get to the Breyer's Carb Smart ice cream. You throw a scoop of that in a diet root beer, that might be more satisfying.
And it's interesting because even that solution, right? It's pros and cons. It's choosing between different ingredients and where you want to spend them and what your priorities are to decide what works for you. I don't hate this shake. 160 calories, 8 grams of fat, 2 grams of saturated fat, 7 grams of carbs, 5 grams of fiber, 1 gram of total sugar, 15 grams of protein. So you had 2 grams of net carbs, 15 grams of protein. Ingredients, I think for the most part, there was nothing, like it's kind of all the same stuff that's in all of these in a lot of ways. So this one uses soluble corn fiber. So this one's a highly soluble fiber that may have some prebiotic effect similar to other kinds of fiber. But it's interesting because some of that effect in the research may depend on age. So I would make sure that we are still getting fiber from other sources and our vegetables and fruit and all these other things. But again, like as far as, especially if you're looking for that dessert thing, I don't know, this might hit the spot, you know? I would also venture to say, I wonder what would happen if you made this with water, you know, or does it come like in a powder that you mix with water, or does it come as a pre-made shake?
No, it comes as a pre-made shake and like a little milk carton.
I wonder what would happen if you poured it into a container and then stuck it in the freezer. Like, could you then eat it and it would kind of give you, I don't know.
I haven't tried. I don't see why it wouldn't freeze. I'm not a chemistry expert. And after, you know, these list of chemicals you've read to me so far, I don't know if it would freeze, but it's, again, it's like everything else we've discussed, you know.
Yeah.
It starts with the diet. It starts with the meal. It starts with high protein, high vegetable with dinner, and then you've earned your treat. Just like when you were 8 years old and you finished your broccoli, you got a special treat after dinner.
So that brings us to the Breyers Carb Smart Pops.
So I've tried most of the flavors. I do find that they are all very good. I think from a nutrition standpoint, the fudgesicle and the caramel swirl are a little bit lower in calories and I think a little bit lower in fat, but they're, you know, frozen treat. If that's your thing, if you like chocolate, if you like caramel, or even if you do the vanilla, it's still got to be better than a regular Eskimo pie. I do like the Carb Smart. And if you really want to get dangerous, they do have the half gallons of the Carb Smart ice cream. Again, they're a little bit more than the fudgesicle, I guess is just what its base is. And if you really want to treat yourself, Hershey's has zero net carbs chocolate syrup, and Cool Whip has zero net sugar Cool Whip, and you can make yourself a little hot fudge sundae.
Okay, so those I didn't look up. We're going to have to look at all the chemicals in those. But on the Breyers, I looked up the fudgesicles. I want to give them mad props for the language on their website saying better for you. No sugar added, reduced calorie, non-dairy. I just respect for the language, right? Intentional choices there. The fudgesicles, 60 calories, 3 grams of total fat, 2 grams of saturated fat, 10 grams of carbs, 3 grams of fiber, 2 grams of sugar, 4 grams of sugar alcohols, and 1 gram of protein. I mean, it's essentially milk, water, maltitol syrup, polydextrose, coconut oil, Dutch cocoa, and then less than 2% of whey glycerin cream, soluble corn fiber, vegetable gums, and then diglycerides, acyl potassium, sucralose, and natural flavors. So we talked about, I don't know if it's acyl or acesulsulfame, potassium in a nutrition nugget before. You might see this referenced on labels as ACE-K. It is calorie-free, odorless, colorless, crystalline powder that is 180 to 200 times sweeter than sugar. So it's often used in combination with other sweeteners like aspartame or sucralose, because then it tastes more similar to sucrose. It is, you know, safe in foods, but there are some reports that it may be carcinogenic in rats so far as what they've looked at. So I just say to everybody, like, proceed with caution, pick your battles, read the labels and decide what works for you. I prefer the Yasso bars. Have you had Yasso? Yasso?
I have. The Greek yogurt bars?
Yeah, so these are the ones made with Greek yogurt. I like the ingredient list on that one better than the Breyers fudgesicle. But again, for everybody.
They have like twice as many calories, don't they, per pop?
It's 80 calories instead of, what was that, 60? Instead of 60.
For some reason, I thought they were more. Maybe
but I think,
sugars?
Yeah, it may have more sugar. Yeah, it's 15 grams of carbs, 1 gram of fiber, 12 grams of sugar. So it is a lot more sugar than the other one in that regard, and 5 grams of protein. But when you get to the ingredients list, right? So that's where everybody can kind of pick and choose what works for them, you know? All right, last one, back to Atkins, the peanut butter candies.
Can't tell the difference between them and Reese's Pieces. Maybe it's been a while since I've had Reese's Pieces, but you really, like, to me, the chocolate candies, the M&Ms are not quite there, but these are, to me, spot on. After listening to everything you've said so far, I'm starting to realize that, okay, maybe I'm not incorporating the best habits, But
It's all balance, right? We pick and choose.
All right. Well, it's balance, yes. But yes, the peanut butter candies. And I mean, I can go on and on. They're slowly coming out with every kind of copycat candy.
Yeah.
There's peanut butter cups, there's coconut bars, there's peppermint patties, there's Kit Kats now. Whatever your favorite candy bar is, you can find a copycat one.
Yeah. So I'll jump to the punchline on this one. So looking at the nutrition facts and the ingredients, I was not impressed with the ingredients. And I was like, maybe we just want to eat the actual Reese's Pieces. So I went back and looked up for the first time, actual Reese's Pieces. And the nutrition facts, other than the carbs and the sugar, right, aren't so bad, where I was like, oh, maybe I'm still on this, just have the Reese's Pieces in a smaller quantity, because a serving size is 38 Reese's Pieces. And then I read the ingredients and I was like, yeah, no. Okay. Ingredients on neither one are singing any praises for either. In fact, they have a lot of similar ingredients in like the artificial colors, carnauba wax, some of these things that are in there. So this is one where if it works for you, rock on. I would not make them a staple. Nobody is, deficient in, yellow 6 or red 40.
Oh, again, you can't really taste a red 40.
Right.
No, but I mean, look, I sort of suggested this episode to you, and I mean, I don't know, it sounds like you've already reviewed a lot of these products.
Some were at your suggestion, by the way.
Well, yes, I would be the spokesman for Wonder Monday if they wanted to hire me, but no, I mean, look, this last hour has been eye-opening for me as well. But again, when my biggest goal was to get my sugars under control. And it meant that I had to replace certain habits that I had. And these products that we just talked about and a couple others, like I said, I can go on and on, they've helped. But, it's all about self-control. It's all about moderation. And I have a further understanding of that after listening to you discuss the ingredients here.
Well, good. And I think, final thought from my end on it is, in hearing what you're just saying, the piece to remember for everybody is that this is a progression in the changing of our habits and adjusting. And so a lot of these options are incredible tools in that process, right? Because I think so often we expect to like flip a switch and, never have a craving for something. And like, we're still human. We still want to enjoy things. Like food can be enjoyed. And these can be great tools for that. I think, like I said before, maybe call them less health detracting versus even healthier versions. Because I just think when we say healthy, there's an implied meaning that they actually improve health because you ate it.
Make no mistake, I understand that when,
No, I know you do. Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying, like, it makes sense that these things are not quote unquote healthy for you, that they're alternatives that help you reach a goal. And in my case, the goal was to bring down my sugar. Yep. And, so from a net carb standpoint, where, my endocrinologist, my nutritionist, everyone told me, you got to watch the net carbs is the most important thing. That's why my meals don't have carbs in them. And that's why when I do have a treat, I have the less net carb alternative to the real thing.
Yeah. And you do eat carbs. You eat carbs as vegetables and fruit and things like that. But I think the point of this conversation, but that's a personal choice. You could eat fruit.
Well, when I test myself, I can't eat fruit.
Okay. So Gary's using a continuous glucose monitor so we can see how each food impacts him specifically. So I think the whole point of this conversation is really about helping each of us make informed choices for ourselves. So it's not about what I do. It's not about what Gary does. It's about what works for you. And now you can make that choice with information. All right. let's preview our nutrition nugget and wrap this up. So on Friday, we're talking about gray hair. So after a few episodes in May about aging, really aging well and aging with health, I heard from a couple of you asking about gray hair. So what really causes it? Is it truly genetic? Is it stress? Can it be prevented or reversed? We're going to talk all about it in this week's Nutrition Nugget bonus episode on Friday. So be sure, wherever you're listening, in the app or on YouTube, click the follow or the plus sign, and then you will be alerted on Friday when the Nutrition Nugget goes live. All right, well, as always, everybody, I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram or all social media. I'm at Jenn Trepeck, JENNTREPECK. Website is asaladwithasideofries.com. Pick your platform, send a message. I love nothing more than hearing from you. Send me your takeaways, your ideas, your questions. This is also the easiest way to learn more about working with me as your health coach.
And we'll try Nestle pizza when they come out.
Yes, we will try the Nestle pizza when they come out. Maybe we'll have to do another episode. More food swaps.
You got it.
All right. Gary, thank you again for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And of course, everybody, if you are not already, join the membership by going to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries. This shows the support for this podcast, this community, and most importantly, it truly supports your health. You'll get this week's recipe for the copycat Chick-fil-A nuggets and your quarterly live Q&A, which is just you and me for 30 minutes. So until next week, remember, packaged foods claiming to be healthier versions of old favorites still require a moment of pause to read the labels, know what we are getting as much as what we're avoiding, so that we can each make the best choice for ourselves. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.